in our schools, 160,000 students daily stay home out of fear of bullying. And those that do go to school, 1 in 7 is either a bully or a victim of bullying. Right here in West Bloomfield Township, a local nonprofit has been fighting to end bullying in our schools for a number of years, and their efforts continue to this day. It is Defeat the Label, and we're pleased to be joined by their executive director, Greene Kaniarz, on today's edition of the Splash Live. Jamie, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Tyler. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, glad to have you with us to talk about a really important issue that I would imagine has grown over the years and has evolved with our generations and particularly with technology. Let's just begin with how Defeat the Label began altogether and what your organization is all about.
So Defeat the Label, for a lot of West Bloomfield people, a lot of West Bloomfield residents know this, was the brainchild of two West Bloomfield dads, actually, Jeff Stackler and Kevin Goldman, who are businessmen in the community, who both had kids in West Bloomfield schools. And at the time, they felt very strongly that as parents and community leaders, that they needed to do something and have action, but they didn't know where to start. So like a lot of amazing ideas, they went to the source. They went to the schools, they went to the school boards, and they said, what are the problems and how can we help you with that? And that turned out, they will tell you that they had a bunch of different thoughts of what might come up, issues with sports or students not having, enough academic support. But they were really shocked to learn that it was actually bullying. Bullying was just becoming such a huge issue on all levels, and the schools did not have the resources to combat it. And so that became their goal. And from there, as people who know these two amazing men will not be surprised, it became 100% of their passion, right? They went to DC, they went to New York, they met with teachers unions, they met with professors in colleges, and they met with other organizations. And they said, okay, how can we tackle this? And that was how Defeat the Label was born, was this idea of tackling bullying in our schools and figuring out what the best way to do that is.
More information on Defeat the Label, if you're interested and want to learn more at this time, can be found on defeatthelabel.com. You could also follow them on Facebook at Defeat the Label. Jamie, I would imagine even in a day like today where so much of an emphasis has been put on being kind to people and focusing on mental health in our schools and individual to individual, that an issue like bullying would perhaps be reduced in times like these. But in fact, it is just as prevalent or more prevalent than it has been in the past. At this point in time where we're at, and with your expertise as the executive director of this organization, just how much of a problem is bullying to this day in our schools?
It's a huge issue. It really is. And you're absolutely correct. We're having a lot of conversations about purposeful kindness, mindful kindness, be a includer, not an excluder, be an upstander, not a bystander. Part of the problem that we consistently face and that we really work with students on, as well as educators in our Upstander program, is what is bullying. There is still this perpetual myth that any unkind behavior, any sour behavior, any mean behavior is bullying, when in actuality, bullying has a very specific definition, a set of criteria that it needs to meet. And we use RAP as an acronym, RAPP. The behavior must be repetitive, same target, same instigator, or targets. It is aggressive and purposeful, meaning that the behavior has the intent to cause harm, that the perpetrator knows that they are causing harm and they are making the choice to do it anyway. It is not an accident. No one is accidentally bullied, right? And then there's often an imbalance of power, and this is twofold. On one hand, we talk about power in the traditional sense of somebody being bigger, stronger, smarter, having more money, having more social capital than somebody else. However, it's also about it being a mind game. The bully has power by controlling how the target feels. I can either ignore you today and let you have a perfectly fine day and let you think today's going to be great, or surprise. I can do what I always do, or what I constantly do, and ruin your day, right? It's just enough, and we talk to this a lot with students, it's just enough that your stomach feels icky, right? You don't know what's going to happen. So it needs to meet that criteria. A lot of times we get calls or we get questions about somebody was mean to my child. Somebody didn't invite my daughter to her birthday party. And it's the conversation of there's behavior that is unkind. There is behavior that is harmful and unkind. It doesn't necessarily mean it's bullying behavior. The other thing I'll throw out is that good people can participate in bullying. Bullying does not necessarily mean a child or a young person is a terrible kid, right? It's a power game, a power struggle, excuse me. And so we hear a lot of teachers say, oh, well, so-and-so's so kind. I don't understand why this is happening with them. They're so kind with everybody else. That is not an exception to the rule.
And then Jamie, you mentioned that there's an imbalance of power, and that tends to be a really critical part of this dynamic between bullies and bully victims, and even between perhaps bullies and bystanders that may otherwise intervene in this. And so with that imbalance being the case, and whether it's an imbalance of the power in that social dynamic between the individual or individuals involved in this bully to bully victim relationship, or just an imbalance in one kid or another's life altogether that's causing these issues, how does Defeat the Labels programs then help to address the many different routes that lead into the tree of what bullying ends up being?
So I'm so glad that you asked that, because as we're reaching the end of the year, we're wrapping up our schools for this year for the Upstander program, but we are looking at new schools for next year. We've received a lot of inquiries, a lot of questions about the program, and I'm really thrilled to be able to have the opportunity to talk to you about that. So we have the Upstander program, which is an 8-lesson program over the course of the school year, where our facilitators actually go into schools and work with students. And this is a very meaningful, mindful program. It's conducted for the students, not 8 lessons for the teachers. This is with the students. And part of that is because we know, and there's the data to back it up, that constantly hearing the same rhetoric from administrators, from counselors, from teachers doesn't necessarily change student behavior. As much as I wish it did. As a parent, I wish everything my administrators and our principals told my kids they listened to. But ultimately, as most parents can identify, our kids are most influenced by their peers. So with the Upstander program, by working with the students to identify the root causes of bullying, looking at judgment, stereotype, diversity, looking at all of these different things that can be a cause or a root cause to why somebody is targeted for bullying, and then giving them the tools to define it, identify it, and then giving them actual ways that they can be an upstander. We empower the students. And the goal is, and we have some evidence now, I'm super excited from our partners at the university, but also some of the local school districts that have been tracking the program over a number of years, that when the students can identify the behavior, they are much more quick to call out each other. We don't do that in the school. This is not how we treat each other. And that has more of an impact than the behavior of a teacher or a counselor telling a student, right? Because students don't want to be identified by their peers as being a problem or a bully. So the Upstander program is an 8-lesson program. We do that in schools with students. We love it. We have about 14 schools this year. We are building back up post-COVID because that was really devastating for a lot of students. COVID really impacted the way a lot of students are treating each other, and they can identify that as a turning point in kind of the way that they treated each other, their behavior, and where kind of the bar was set for that.
Jamie Kaniarz is with us. She's the executive director of Defeat the Label on today's edition of the Splash Live. Please continue. Sorry, I interrupted there.
No, I appreciate that. So COVID was just devastating. It had a lot of issues, and we're seeing that a lot with the students. So programs like the Upstander program that come in and work with the students are fantastic. We have a Train the Trainer program for educators where we do discuss some of this. Our yearly community conversation on bullying in the fall, and then coming up just in a couple short weeks, Stand for Change, which is Friday, May 3rd. And that is, as always, a worldwide call to action for students to take a stand in their communities and say, not in my school.
Yeah, that's a great way for people to participate in Defeat the Label from a distance from wherever they're at, all throughout our community and around the world as well. Again, as you said, that's in early May. You got another really fun event coming up that's going to help to support a
Yes.
lot of these programs through that next year. As you
Yes.
talk about more schools coming in, Bullying is No Joke 8 coming Friday, June 14th at 8 p.m. And this will be featuring actor and comedian Jeremy Piven. Tell us about this. Very fun stuff.
We are so excited. So, Bullying is No Joke is a fabulous, fabulous event. You'll notice if you follow Defeat the Label, we don't do a ton of fundraisers, and we really try to keep all of our programs either low cost or no cost. And it is because of events like this that we are able to do that, to subsidize schools, to offer programs. Bullying is No Joke is a yearly event that we do. We are so fortunate to be able to bring in a comedian. We're bringing him into Soundboard at MotorCity Casino and Hotel on June 14th, excuse me. And it is going to be a great night to come out, have some laughs, and support Defeat the Label. It's a night of laughter to support bullying, support anti-bullying programs, excuse me. Definitely not support bullying. To support anti-bullying programming. And it is just an amazing, wonderful event. It's a great opportunity to get some people together, have some fun, have some laughs, and support a great cause.
More information can be found on the event, including how you can get tickets on defeatthelabel.com. Again, that is going to be on Friday, June 14th, 8 p.m., Motor City Casino and Hotel at the Soundboard, featuring Jeremy Piven. Tickets are currently on sale at Ticketmaster.com as well. Jamie, as you bring together these events, this is the 8th time that this has gone on, and you bring in. I've seen in the past a number of different celebrities, a number of different great comedians that have come in to make this night fun and engage people. Why comedy as that vehicle for driving support to an organization that is going toward bullying that often does come at comedy at the expense of, or attempts at comedy maybe at the expense of others in our schools? Why comedy as that vehicle for positivity?
You make a really good point. I cannot count the number of times a student has said, I was just being funny. I was just trying to make a joke, right? And you know that they were not being funny, that they were not making a joke, right? And we talk a lot about comedy, this idea of what is okay and what isn't okay when it comes to I was being funny. We have this thing in our culture called endearing teasing. It's a lot of the way that we communicate with each other. As friends, we joke, we laugh, we tease, we're all laughing together. Versus when we start getting towards harmful teasing or even bullying behavior, we have the difference of laughing with somebody versus laughing at somebody. When we have events like Bullying is No Joke, where the event is a comedy show, we are all together in one space, laughing with each other, as opposed to laughing at someone. So it's just a really nice opportunity to have fun. I will say that of the celebrities that have come in, and you mentioned you've seen a lot of them, we've been incredibly fortunate to have some amazing celebrities. It's really important for us to pick people who have done something or said something or have made a point to say that kind of exclusionary behavior that is that is meant to make someone else feel bad is not somebody that we would usually have within our wheelhouse. We wouldn't like that. And so it is very key when vetting them that we are picking people that we say, this person is good, this person is funny, this person is going to make people laugh, and they're not going to target an individual or group of individuals during that, right? So it's not bullying, it's fun, it's lighthearted, and it's just a good time.
More information can be found on defeatthelabel.com. You can also follow them on Facebook for more support and information and ways to get involved as well. Facebook at Defeat the Label. Jamie, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Tyler. As always, it's a pleasure.